Shalom and good evening, brothers and sisters. Coming up here to give you part two of Revelations chapter 13, beasts. The makeup of the fourth beast in Daniel's chapter 7. What you see before you is a picture giving you an idea of what Revelations chapter 13 beast looks like. And as we meditate on this picture, the Father reminded me yesterday that as you look at the components of this beast, it would take you back to Daniel chapter 7. For the following components are: we have a lion's mouth, we have a body of a leopard, and we have bear's feet. Then we have what? 7 heads, 10 horns, and 10 crowns. Okay? Take this time to meditate on this picture to understand what Revelation chapter 13 has to do with Daniel's chapter 7, 8, as well as 9, 10, 11, 12. So let us begin. This picture comes from the Jehovah Witness website, which is jw.org. And you will find it under the title, What is the Seven-Head Wild Beast of Revelations 13? Bible questions. Okay. So before we get started into this word that the Father will have me to do, and I just want to say this to you, brothers and sisters. Yesterday, this word was completed, but again, we had some technical difficulties. Therefore, the word could not be released. So we're going to do this again. And every time I go through this kind of trial, it teaches me about patience, about long suffering. Also, it teaches me how to have joy no matter what comes my way. In other words, it's going to cause me to increase, produce the 9 fruits of the Holy Spirit. And how I'm able to produce it is because that holy seed, which is the Word, the Spirit of Yahusha the Messiah, because He resides in me, this is why I'm able to produce more fruits during these trials and tribulations. Okay? So I maybe share some copyright materials with you. For the title of this word is Revelation chapter 13, Beasts, Part 2. The fourth beast make up of Daniel chapter 7. Also, I have a special nugget for you. I'm going to give you some information that will go in part 3 as we dive deeper into Revelation chapter 13. Okay? But first, we got to finish up what we started in part 1. If you have not watched part 1, brothers and sisters, please go back and do so to understand what we shall discuss in part 2. Now, this word is to edify the saints who are the bride of Messiah and the 144,000 Israelites. It is also to edify the house of Israel, Yashrael, and the house of Judah, Yahudah. Okay? And to any others who are listening to this word who have not received the salvation of Yah. And that is the renewed covenant that our blessed Messiah made for us. Okay? So let's get right on into it, brothers and sisters. Let me take you to the notes first. There was a couple of things I did add to the notes, and I want to point out to you, because when you read the King James 1611 Bible, It is written in the Apocrypha of how many years that Alexander the Great shall rule. So when I was adding some things to my notes, I learned that Alexander the Great reigned 12 years and 9 months. Okay. He started reigning from October 336 BCE, which means before Common Era, or you can say this is the BC period, which is before Christ, to June 323 BCE, before Common Era or before Christ. Okay, so that's what I got. So when we see the writings that we see in the 1611 and also in the work of Josephus, it is written that he reigned for 12 years. So probably from copies of scrolls or whatever, it may be a mistranslation or something was left out, but we see that he didn't complete the 13 years. He only completed 12 years, and the other part was 9 months. The second thing that I added to my notes is that I see some changes on the internet. But in the past, when you look up these kings, such as Nebuchadnezzar, um, Cyrus the Great, Alexander the Great, and many others, okay, you would see them having the title as King of Kings or Lord of Lords. And I was able to find something that was current today to prove what I am saying. Okay. So in the Babylonian astronomical diaries, it says that, and I quote, the king of the world, Alexander, and end of quote, sent his Scots with a message to the people of Babylon before entering the city. And he, quote, I shall not enter your houses, end of quote. So even you see here that Alexander the Great is recognized as king of the world. Okay. Another thing I found interesting, that when we look at the city yeah, or the kingdom of Babylon in their country, make sure you get up. Maybe use my cursor then to move this down. Correction, move it up. Another interesting thing, because we also see this in Hollywood, in the ancient Babylon country, we see that they had a temple of Marduk, also known as Baal. And this was the chief deity slash god of Babylon. This is very important to know, y'all. So you can begin to understand that the heathens was worshiping Satan and the angels that joined him. Okay, very important to know this. Then you understand when the Father say in the scriptures that Israel is his heritage. And you'll get more understanding if you read the book of Jubilees that gives you the history of Noah and his sons and what take place after the flood, as well as the work of Josephus and other sacred scrolls. Okay. But this is very important because you will also see the same things that was done back then done today. So I just want you to make you aware of that. Okay. Especially when you read the Apocrypha. So you will understand whom the heathens were worshiping in comparison to what was given unto Israel. Okay, and that was sealed in the covenant made by our Father in heaven. Okay, I just want to point that out to you. The next thing in the notes, okay, we're going to pick back up where we started. We already talked about the 10 Greek kingdoms, okay? And I did add some new links so you can see what the other Greek kingdoms were, and they can be founded in the Simple English Wikipedia, the Free English Encyclopedia. They can also be found in Antiochus the Fourth Epiphanes of Wikipedia. And the second place they can be found in the list of rulers of the ancient Greek world, list of rulers, Hilbun, timeline of art history, the Metropolitan Museum of Art. So take this time now to pause your screen so you can learn about the different Greek kingdoms, okay? Even during the time when the Romans ruled. And the third source you can get an idea about the different Greek kingdoms are lists of historical Greek countries and regions, Wikipedia. Okay. So we're going to pick up on number 3, okay? Because that's what we went into depth about that on part 1. It says that when we look at the verse in Daniel's chapter 7, and I believe it started verse 24, it described this little horn, okay, that rises up after the 10 horns, okay? And it goes on to say that this little horn shall pluck up 3 of the first horns by their roots that was before it, which means he shall subdue 3 kings. Okay? So when this little horn rises, he's going to pluck out 3 of the first horns. That means 3 who was already king or established to be king before him. Okay? So in number 3, he raises to reign after the 10 kings that was already established in 175 BC. And that little horn name is Antiochus the Fourth Epiphanes. For some reason, my cursor has frozen. Let me see, can I move it down some then? Okay. And the Bible talks about him very well, as well as the work of Josephus. I highly recommend that you read those 2 sources, as well as um, the Apocrypha. So you want the King James 1611, and you want the work of Josephus, as well as Maccabees 3 and 4. Okay. So Antiochus the Fourth Epiphanes become king in 175 BC. It also go on to say that he shall be different from the first king. And according to the scriptures, it had identified who's the first king that he is compared to. Okay? And we'll release that information. The scriptures in Daniel chapter 7 go on to say that he would make war with the saints of the Most High until the Ancient of Days come. Now, when you look at this prophecy, it's not only talking about in the time of the children of Israel, but it is ongoing, and you will see when we get to the book of Revelations. But what Daniel chapter 7 and 8, as well as 9, 10, 11, 12, is revealing unto us, it is revealing unto us the first Antichrist or anti-Messiah that rises on the scene. And what makes this one a anti-Messiah or antichrist, it's one who can reject Yahusha HaMashiach, but let's go a little bit deeper. When you understand Torah, then you will know what Torah represents. Torah represents Yahushua HaMashiach. So in other words, the anti-Messiah or antichrist shall be against the covenant of Yah. Okay? He shall be against the covenant of Yah. He's going to do the complete opposite of whatever the Father instructs us in that covenant that he made with us through his Son. Okay? Very important. Because what the Father was teaching me in the first word he had me to give, that we need to go back and study the Israelites' history, especially during the time of Antiochus the Fourth Epiphanes, to understand what shall come in the end. For we are waiting for the last Antichrist or last anti-Messiah to be revealed according to the writings in the books of Thessalonians, as well as Apostle John revealed unto us in First John chapter 2, and I'm going to open my Bible up that to now so we can read that. First John chapter 2. Okay. Almost getting there, y'all. Okay, I'm now in First John chapter 2, and we shall go to verse 18. The apostle wrote this unto us, for he says, little children, it is the last time. And as ye have heard that Antichrist shall come, even now are there many Antichrists. Do y'all hear what he said? Even now, even during his time, there are many Antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. So we do know a last one is coming. Okay? And it first started with the children of Israel because they have a covenant with our Father in heaven. Okay? And now what is to come shall be upon the whole world. This is why it's so important to go and study the children of Israel history so you can be prepared and not break the covenant and take the mark of the beast. Okay? This is very important. So look at their history because then you're going to understand about this wicked one, this last wicked one to come. Okay? So he's going to be different from the first king. He also going to make war with the saints of the Most High. And again, the saints of the Most High are those who have covenant with Yah through his son, Yahusha HaMashiach. Okay? That includes in the bride, when we look at the bride, we have Israelites and Gentiles, males and females, bond and free, circumcised and uncircumcised. And this also includes the 144,000. They are called the saints because they are the most holiest of Yah. Okay. And they shall dwell in his house. And they came in by faith without sin. They have received the circumcision of the heart that's not done by man's hand. They have received the water baptism and the Holy Spirit baptism. And they are keeping the renewed covenant that our blessed Messiah established for us, allowing the Spirit of Yah to lead them and guide them and to instruct them. As the living word say, he is a lamp unto our feet. Okay? Let us keep going. And Father want me to give you this. As for the house of Israel and the house of Judah, you have to read Romans chapter 11 to understand what the ancient prophets of old were saying, that they too would be grafted back into the olive tree, and our Father would give them a new heart and a new spirit. Okay? That remnant that he chose. Let us keep going. Antiochus the fourth Epiphany shall think to change times and laws. And we see that also ongoing in the time that we in, for we have daylight saving time. And y'all, that is not correct to do, because we are to be aligned in the heavens and the earth. And if we just do that, we will see a lot of sacred things and how these earthly and heavenly things relate to the Bible as well as to the biblical prophecies. But because we're in Satan's kingdom, he does these things to keep us from being connected to our Father and to what he created, because everything is aligned but us. Okay? So remember, laws also deal with covenant, because at that time of the children of Israel, the covenant is the law. That's what covenant is. It has laws, statutes, judgments, basically instructions on how to love one another, how to love the Most High, our Father in heaven, and how to worship Him. Okay? The chapter go on to say that the saints shall be given into his hand until 3.5 years. That's in Revelation 12, verse 14. So we see again, this is proof to let you know that it first started with Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes, but time has to go on, because remember, the Father was giving grace and mercy. He was also giving the Gentiles time to come in, and also the children of Israel had to fulfill their 400 years of affliction. All right. So now we're getting to the end. We are already in the feet of the image that Nebuchadnezzar saw in his dream. So now we are getting to the end, where this last anti-Messiah or antichrist must rule. So just like in the time of the children of Israel, they was given into the Antichrist's hand, the same thing shall be for the bride, the 144, the children of Israel, and the Gentiles. This time it's going to be the whole world. Okay? So the saints shall be given into this wicked one hand until 3.5 years are fulfilled. They also go on to say that after that time is fulfilled, then the saints shall take away his dominion in the time of your judgment, to consume and to destroy the dominion unto the end. So once that time period is fulfilled, which is the 3.5 years, then the roles shall reverse. The Messiah shall come with the hosts of heaven, as well as the 144, to take down this wicked one. And the saints are the what? The bride, the 144, the most holies. And now they're going to reign and rule, okay, under the leadership of Yahusha HaMashiach, who is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. So this kingdom that we are in will soon pass away, y'all. It will come to an end. Then it also going to say, under heaven, his kingdom shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, which is an everlasting and undestroyable kingdom that shall not pass away, and all dominions, okay? So all dominions or all rulers shall serve and obey the son of Adam, and the son of Adam is Yahusha HaMashiach. All right? So under the heaven, the eternal kingdom to come, or we're going to take the kingdom away from the beast, shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. So who are ever in the earth, not whoever in the earth. In other words, Israel will now be the head and not the tail. So you will have the nation of Israel. Above them, you have the 144 and the bride. Then above them, you have Yahusha HaMashiach. Okay? That is the ordering of rulership. Okay? And then above Yahusha HaMashiach is our Father in heaven, which is Yahuwah. So the people of the saints, the people of what? Of the most holies. Okay? Those who are in the earth. 2 shall be giving back the kingdom. Because when we go back to Genesis, dominion was given unto our foreparents, Adam and Eve. But when they fell, it went over to Satan. This is why it's so important we got to understand the past to understand what the scriptures are saying to us about the present and what is yet to come, which is the future. Okay? So dominion shall be given back to the children of Adam. And I already gave you the divine order. Now for the breakdown of Daniel chapter 4, what we already read, dealing with who is Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes compared to. Okay? For in the scriptures, he is recognized in as an other horn in Daniel chapter 7, verse 24. So Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes is different from the first king, which is Anazander the Great. And when you read the testimony of the Maccabees, you begin to understand why he was different from Anazander the Great, as well as in the writings of Josephus. Okay? Alexander the Great allowed the Most High people to worship him and to keep his covenant. But Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes did not. He was the one starting to Hellenize the children of Israel. And we see in the word Hellenize, we see the word hell. So again, as I was sharing with y'all before, the heathens was worshiping Satan and his angels. Okay? Now, the three kings that Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes subdued was the following. We're going to start with the first one. Heliodorus is the chief minister of Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes' brother, and his brother name is Seleucus the fourth. So when he found out that his brother was murdered, because at the time he was in Athens, he was no longer a hostage for Rome anymore. He was exchanged for his nephew, and I believe that nephew was the son of Seleucus the fourth. Okay, so at the time, Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes was residing in Athens, also known as Antioch. Okay. But when he found out that the chief minister of his brother was killed by his hand, that's when he came for the kingdom of the Seleucus dynasty. Okay? So with the help of another king, he was able to take back the throne, and he killed this guy. And that was done in 175 BC. Then Seleucus had a son by the name of Antiochus. Okay. So at that time, from 175 BC to 170, Antiochus the fourth did not do this by his hand, but according to the information, when you Google or you look up on the internet, you will learn that Antiochus, who is the son of Seleucus, was murdered. But before, Antiochus the fourth was co-reigning with Antiochus, the son of Seleucus the fourth. Okay, so he was killed in 170 BC, or unalived. Then the next king that he subdued was King Ptolemy the sixth, Philometor, okay, he was the king of Egypt. That was his portion. Because remember, when Alexander the Great died, his dynasty was split into four kingdoms or four dynasties. Okay, so he was given Egypt. That was his portion. Okay, and I believe that this guy, Ptolemy, was the one who first started it with Antiochus, but Antiochus finished the war. Okay, so he became unto him a puppet king, and he lost a lot of his countries that he was ruling over to Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes. Okay, so at that time, after he subdued Ptolemy and Ptolemy became a puppet king, he was allowed to be in Alexandria. But for the other surrounding areas, most of that was taken by Antiochus. So those were the three kings that I have at this time that was subdued by him. Now we're going to look at the original Google search AI results. And I'm going to tell you about AI. You better get your copy or get your record, because when you go back to use AI again, they will change the facts. Okay? They will pull other sources. All right? And I do know this because when I use AI for my DNA, looking up the Golian tribe, they did not put up the same information, such as how most of them died by the smallpox and other diseases that was brought by the colonizers, etc. So I'm telling y'all, make sure, you know, get your pictures, get your record, get the proof, because it will change it. But luckily, I was able to get a picture of it so you can get more insight about Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes. So as you see, he was a Greek king of Syria who ruled from 175 to 164. Now, when you read a 1611, you would get that he died in 163. So there is some differentiation in the dates, okay? Also, it gives the history of how he proclaimed himself to be the ruler of the Seleucid, of the Seleucid dynasty, okay, which we already discussed. And here above, you can see who murdered his nephew. Okay, you can see by the name. Okay, this one right here, which was Andronicus. Okay, and then it gives the location where Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes died. Okay, but here's the part where I want to point out that you may see an AI or may not. Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes' reign was marked by an intense Hellenization of the Jews of Palestine. Now, we know why they call the land of Israel or the land of Canaan Palestine. That is a modern day term. Now, again, look at the word Hellenization. Again, and we see the root word in that word is hell. All right. So he was the one that was marked by bringing the Jews to be Hellenized. Now, this is his actions on how he Hellenized them. Okay, so his action included the following: banning circumcision. Now you know that started with our forefather Abraham, for he is the father of faith and righteousness. Okay, he's the father of faith and righteousness. So you know that was a no-no. But that's what he banned the Jews or the Israelites not to do. Forcing the Jews to work on the Shabbat or Sabbath, and you know that is something holy and sacred. It's also written in the Ten Commandments. And when we go back to the beginning, which is Genesis, you will learn that we are made in our Father image. So just as our Father created his creations within a week, right? So he created his creations in 6 days and he rested on the seventh day, which is the 7,000 year. Well, that was the same he wanted Adam, who is the Son of God, to do, for we are made in his image, the male and the female, made in the Father, the Son, and wisdom image, the divine family in heaven. For Yahusha said that wisdom shall be justified by her children, and that's in the gospel. But let me keep going on. So, because we're made in his image, we are given 6 days to work, and on the seventh day, we are to keep Sabbath to rest and to worship Yah, right? Rest in Yah, worship Yah. And that was usually fall on the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, and the 29th day of the month, okay? Because the prophet Ezekiel confirms how his calendar should be set up. It is the opposite of the Romans calendar, very opposite. Remember, the Romans worshipped different gods and idols. So their calendar is set upon their gods and their idols. So it is completely different from the Roman calendar, known as the Gregorian calendar of today. Okay, remember we're in the Roman Empire. He also did the following, putting Greek idols in the second temple of Jerusalem. Now, the reason why this is the second temple, for the first temple was built by King Solomon, which was a building. But prior to King Solomon, Moses had the 10th tabernacle temple. All right. But they're actually counting from Solomon. So Solomon had the first temple, and that was first destroyed by King Nebuchadnezzar. Okay. So when they came out of the Babylonian captivity under the Persian Mede rule, they was giving the divine authority to rebuild our Father's house and temple. And this is why this is named the second temple. And it has been ongoing until when you get to the time of King Herod, and that's when he made some improvements on the house. Okay. So when you get to the Messiah time, they were still working on it or building on it for 46 years by the time he came on the scene. But then the temple and the city was completely destroyed in the time of the Romans in 70 AD or 70 BCE. I mean, in 70 CE, Common Era. Either 70 AD, that's mean like the year after their Lord, they call it Adonai, something like that. Adonai Domino or something like that. And or you can say 70 CE, which is Common Era, the year of the Romans or the year of their times, which is basically meaning the year of the Gentiles. Okay. So the Romans was the second empire that completely destroyed the temple and Jerusalem. And their dates line up with the Babylonians when it came to the burning of the temple, which was the fifth month and the fifth month and the 10th day. Just want to give you this for FYI. By the Romans in the fourth month, the 17th day, the daily sacrifice was taken away. Then on the same day as the Babylonians, the temple was burned, which was the fifth month and 10th day. And then in the sixth month, Elul, on the 8th day, I believe, the city was completely destroyed. Like the Messiah prophesied unto us, there would be no stone left unturned. So now there is no temple, but we see the Jewish people over there talking about the building of a third temple. But for those who have read the scriptures, we know what the Father has prepared is not a building of a temple, for they are the temple, if you have read the scriptures. We also know that when the Messiah shall reign for 1,000 years, he's going to rebuild the house of David now. But there is no need for a third temple. If you are really in your scriptures, you would know. So that's why I said the Jewish, it will build a third temple, fulfilling the prophecy that's dealing with Daniel's 11. Go and check that out. But it has nothing to do with our Father in heaven, nor with his son, Yahusha HaMashiach. The next thing that he would do, forcing the chief Kohen, that means the chief high priest, okay, who are the sons of Aaron, they come from the Aaron's lineage, to sacrifice animals to Zeus. Now, this is very important to understand. For the Greeks, they call him Zeus. For the Romans, they call him Jupiter, and you can see that in the book of Acts. But when you go back and trace what God they're talking about, it's Satan. For it shall lead you it shall lead you to, or lead you back to, Baal worship, Baal or Bel. That's what it's going to lead you to. Okay, so the Greeks have Zeus, the Romans have Jupiter. They both mean the same. Even when you look at the modern day Jerusalem today, and you can find this is history. They found the ancient temple of Jupiter, okay, under Temple Mount. They also find the ancient temple of Aphrodite under the Holy Sepulchre of Church. This is where the Messiah was crucified. And how it got there is because a Roman emperor called Hadrian built a city called Capitonia. Okay? So under Temple Mount, you have the temple, you have an ancient temple dedicated to Satan. Then under the scepter of the Holy Church, you have a temple dated to, again, Satan, because he comes in both forms, the male and the female. For the Romans had Aphrodite. I think the Greeks would have Venus, which is the day star in Isaiah 11, not 11, Isaiah 14, okay, which go back to Astaroth worship. And you can find that in Judges chapter 2. So they come in pairs of what the heathens worship. They do worship the male and female deities. Okay. The next thing you will learn about Antiochus the Fourth Epiphanes, putting a gymnasium in the temple's yard where people would wrestle naked. And this is the Greeks' ways. So now you understand why we have gyms, why we have the Olympics. These are the ways of the Greeks, even in this kingdom that we're in. Very important to pay attention to the Greek names, such as in the World Councils of Churches, they have a Greek word called okineme. Okineme means the whole earth or the Roman Empire. So again, they're telling what empire we are in. Notice how all the leaders or kings of the countries go and pay their homage or their respect to the Pope. That's in Italy, Rome. Okay? Again, if you are watching like you're supposed to and praying, you will begin to understand what kingdom you're in, because the Romans and the Greeks are cousins, distant cousins. For the sons of Edom and the sons of Japheth have been mixing with one another. And through that mixing, they created two nations that came later in the earth. That was the Greeks and the Romans. And my proof of that is that Josephus will back me up, the work of Josephus. For he says unto us about the Greeks that they are not a nation of antiquity, meaning that they didn't start along in Genesis chapter 10. Even the children of Israel is older than them, their nation. So that's something to point out, to pay attention to. So now you understand why we have gyms, okay? And why we have the Olympics. It's following the ways of the Greeks and the Romans. Okay, remember what we discussed in part one about the original or the first beast makeup. Okay, now you understand why it's still ongoing in this kingdom, because it's still the same, but may look a little different, but still the same. Another thing that the AI revealed, let me see, Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes was the son of Antiochus the third the Great. Okay, his father was defeated by the Romans, and Antiochus the fourth was held hostage in Rome from 189 to 175 BCE. Then he returned to Antioch, which is Athens. That were interchanged. He learned of his brother's murder by Heliodorus, who then proclaimed himself king. So I didn't tell you about that history on that part. And the king that helped him to reclaim his father's kingdom was the king of Pergamum. Okay. And then they said Antiochus the fourth action were tyrannical and led to the Maccabean revolt. Okay, so he was a tyrant. So these are some of the signs you should look for when you are identifying the Antichrist or anti-Messiah. They're going to be against the Bible. They're going to be against the covenant. They're going to be against the Father Holy People, which are the children of Israel. They're going to be against the Father Holy People, which is what? The bride in 144. Do y'all see what I'm saying? So pay very close attention to what we discuss about Antiochus the fourth, because your mouth going to drop. So one of the things you can write down is that he's going to be a tyrant. He's going to be against the King James Bible, which basically is what? The Word of God. For even the United States government recognized the King James Bible as the Word of God in the Public Law 97-280. Okay. He's going to be against the children of Israel. You'll see why. Okay. Because Revelation is going to explain why. He's going to be against the bride of Messiah and the 144 Israelites. Okay. Very important. So he's going to be against Yahusha HaMashiach and those who are under him. So again, we're going to look at the actions that he put upon the children of Israel. So these are the following actions: forbidding traditional Jewish practices such as circumcision, Sabbath observance, and traditional sacrifices. Ordering the destruction of copies of the Torah. Do y'all see that? Because at the time when the children of Israel came about, there was no such thing as Old Testament, New Testament, because at that time, OT or Torah, which is the first 5 books, was the books that the Father gave them to follow. Okay, during that period of time. So notice here why he's the anti-Messiah or antichrist. He's ordering the destruction of copies of Torah. So think about what may happen in this time. Okay. Because we know the living word said there's going to be a famine of the word. Okay, there's going to be a famine of the word. People are going to want the word. All right. And the righteous not going to be there. So anyway, that's another word for another time. But on the channel, we already talked about it. But hey, the Father may have me talk about it again. Let us keep going though. And see here. Profaning the temple of Yahuwah by erecting idols and sacrificing pigs on the altar. Now the Romans do the same thing too here. So notice here, they defile our Father's house by erecting idols and by sacrificing pigs on the altar. For we already know that pigs are an unclean animal. Okay? That is a big no-no. You do not offer the Father a sacrifice that is a pig. Okay? Then another thing we see him doing, ordering Jews to sacrifice to pagan gods and eat pig flesh. Now you know that's a big no-no for an Israelite slash Jew. For in the Ten Commandments, we are not to have no other gods before him. Also in Torah, Deuteronomy 11, Leviticus 11, we are forbidding to eat an unclean animal. So you see, he does the opposite. He's forcing them to worship the other gods. He's forcing them to eat pig flesh, which is unclean to an Israelite slash Jew. Then the last one says, slaying men and Jews and selling others into slavery. Underline that. That's very important. He unalived many Jews, and he also sold others into slavery. So now you begin to understand how we are dispersed throughout the four corners of the earth. And that's one of the curses that's upon us. We always go through slavery. Now we are going to Revelation chapter 12. For the Father made me realize that I left out a beast that we need to know about and discuss, for it relates to Revelation chapter 13. So in time past, I shared this image with you. Let me see, can I get it right? Here we go. In time past, I shared this image with you, and this come from one of the Israelite camps. And basically, I'm just going to say this. With the image, it gives you a better idea of what Revelations 12 is talking about. And I'm going to see if it's talking about the same one in 17. We'll see. But I cannot say it's all the way correct, as the Father is having me to relook at the scriptures. But basically, we're just going to use the image to get an idea of what Revelation 12 is talking about. And that's without the woman sitting on the beast for right now. Okay. So basically, we're going to look at the beast that is mentioned in Revelation 12. Now, that image I just showed to you is titled Seven Head, Ten Horns by Turl Lee of GMS, or by Turl Lee or GMS, Great Millstone. Okay, that's the name of their camp. So when we go to Revelation chapter 12, it's going to give us the breakdown of what the beast will look like, or what that sign in heaven look like. So when we look at the dragon or the beast in Revelation chapter 12, 13, and 17, we learn that there is a color assigned to this dragon, and the color is red or crimson. Remember earlier I was talking to you about Esau and Edom? Well, this is very important. When we come in the whole volume of the book, the Bible is giving us a clue when it assigns a color to the dragon. And we'll get into that part as we read further down. For when we start doing our precept upon precept and line upon line, we learn that the dragon actually represents Satan. And Satan has many other identities, names, or titles, such as Baal, but Baal, or Baalim, Lucifer, Daystar, Venus, Aphrodite, Astaroth, and I need to put up here too Saturn. Okay, Saturn. So these are the following things that he is often identified as in the Bible as you do your precept, line upon line, and precept upon precept. We also learned that the dragon is also referenced as an old serpent, the devil, or Satan. And this is very important because when you look at different nations and tribes on the earth, you will see in their historical writings that's upon stone, wall, or papyrus, or statues, you will see either a large serpent or you will see dragons. And y'all, when you see that, this don't have, how can I say, it's not mythical. When you understand what the value represent or what angel he represent, because they have the same personalities, they have the same characteristics, you will understand that when you see these things, then you will see, then it will confirm unto you what the Bible is saying and what the book of Jubilees is saying, that the heathens worship Satan and his angels. Okay? They worship the other gods. Because the Bible teaches us that there's many gods and many lords in the heavens and in the earth. But the one true God that is above all gods is Yahuwah, who is the El/God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This is why you have to be very specific with people and letting them know whom you worship. And also, whoever is telling you whom they worship, they needs to be very specific because there is a difference. Okay. And then we see through the scriptures that this dragon is assigned a color, red. Now, when we read in the Bible the wholeness, what was one person that was mentioned and even their name represented them being red? Even their hair is red. That is Jacob, twin brother. Okay, so he looked different from the rest. And as the Father had me to study about Adam characteristics, I learned that Adam comes from virgin red clay and it was pure, no contaminants in it. And I learned that that red virgin clay has a red brownish hue to it. Okay. And then I began to understand that how Adam got his name. For the clay in Hebrew was Adamah. So Adam was name came from Adamah, which makes sense. Okay. Then I began to understand why melon was given unto Adam because of what he was made from. And people don't even understand that that darkness that that word talked about was red. And the proof of that is in Enoch writings, first, second, and third. Check them out. He's the prophet that also given information about creation. Okay? Even Josephus will confirm unto you of what type of clay that Adam was made from. For even when we look at the red heifer has what? A reddish brown hue. This is why most of my people, or some of my people, are often described as ruddy or redder than a blossom rose, for they had a reddish brown hue to their skin pigmentation. Okay? So, the reason why it's so important to understand Adam's name, because Edom comes from Adam's name. It's like, I don't want to say a derivative, but his name is closely spelled to the way Adam's name is, but it's different to let us know there is something unique about Edom. Edom is a lighter shade of red. Okay. And how I know that Edom exists, okay, not only because of what the living words say, but there's a specific trait that he has that he is the father of. And he is the father of red hair. Okay. Now, for the Israelites, their trait of antiquity is black hair or white hair. Okay. The Bible tells us that. Matthew chapter 5, verse 36. Leviticus chapter 13 through 14. It gives you the characteristics of the Jews. They either have black or white hair. But the other tribes in the earth, I'm sorry, and then the next characteristic is they will have woolly hair or texture hair like sheep's, because we are made in the image of the Creator as well as the Son. Okay? And when some people see the word white, you need to go back in the Hebrew and look it up, for it means Sach, it means to illuminate. And when you look at Laban, his name was used to represent righteousness. Righteousness. So again, look up these words to see what is the context of these words when you read the scriptures, besides running with them. Okay. Oh, but Edom was a different shade of red. Okay. And he had mixed himself with some of the nations and tribes of this earth. So he too is throughout certain areas in this earth, but he's not the largest nation. He's very small. Okay. According to the prophets. All right. So Edom has hidden himself very well. But one thing he cannot get rid of is that red hair. Now, just because somebody has red hair does not mean they are an Edomite. Remember, we go by the Bible ways. Whoever your father, whatever tribe your father comes from, that's what you are, according to the Bible. Okay. So anyway, um, so we see the dragon is red because it represents that Edom has a covenant with Satan. And y'all, this is very true because now we have seen so many people in Hollywood and in the music industry, and they are coming out showing us they have sold their soul to the devil. They are also sharing with us of all the perverse things and wicked things they had to partake when they worship the devil, Satan. Okay? So if this is so, we know back in ancient time that Edom made a pact or a covenant with Satan. So this is why the dragon is red. It's telling us something deep here, y'all. And if you came in the whole volume of the book, going back to Genesis and looking at the characteristics of Edom and compared to his brother, then you begin to understand Revelations. Okay? And why Jacob was holding on to his brother heel. For Jacob is a supplanter, meaning that he's not a thief. Of Jacob's seed shall replace Edom, meaning that he shall be the ruler of the kingdom. They're going to take it away from Edom and from Satan, and the kingdom shall be his. So when you understand Torah law, you will learn that Jacob bought the birthright fair and square. Okay? Edom had a choice. Instead of calling out to the Most High for help, he chose to sell the birthright for a pot of beans. That easy, without a fight. Okay? When you understand the inheritance that goes along with that birthright, you would drop your mouth because the inheritance of that birthright means that the promised seed will go through your lineage. Okay? And that promised seed is Yahusha HaMashiach. And when you look up Jacob characteristics and his lineage, one of the characteristics is that we are a very stiff-necked people. So we don't sell out that easy as a nation of people. Now, as a nation of people, we don't sell out. We are very committed to that covenant that the Father gave unto us. And you will see that in certain captivities that my people were in. They kept a hold to that covenant. Okay? So, and thank goodness Jacob lineage wasn't like that because Satan was trying to stop the second Adam from coming and giving us a better covenant. Okay? So Satan didn't want us to be redeemed, to be restored, nor to be saved. Remember, misery loved company, and Satan is very envious of us as well as the angels, okay? Because we are made in the image of the Father. So when Jacob grabbed onto his brother heel, it symbolized or represent that the Holy One of his seed shall take the kingdom away from Edom, and the kingdom shall be given back unto Israel. And Israel shall reign in righteousness under the rulership of Yahushua HaMashiach, along with the saints and the 144, with our Father in heaven being above them. Okay? Very important. So that's why the dragon is red. But I got some more for you. Now there was a sign that appeared in heaven. This is the first sign in Revelation 12. It says that the sign in heaven was a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, upon her head a crown of 12 stars. So we have 12 stars making that crown. When we look at the woman is actually representing the congregation of Israel, which the world today calls the bride, and the bride does include the 144,000 Israelites. When we look at the old and the renewed, it's still the same. Just as the children of Israel came out of Egypt, so did the strangers. And they both took on hold of the covenant of Yah. Okay? Remember the same law for the Jews, the same law for the stranger? Okay. This is how you have the proselytes coming in. Well, it's the same now. But the only thing different is you don't have to partake in the circumcision of the flesh. Instead, your circumcision of the heart, that's not done by man's hand, will suffice in the renewed covenant. Okay? So it's what getting us over until the eternal kingdom comes. All right? Then you will see the other changes. But for right now, it is getting us over. Okay? Crossing us over. All right. So the woman represent the congregation of Israel, which the world today would call what? The bride or the church. Okay. And she is clothed, and by her being clothed, clothed means to be covered, and she's covered by what? The sun, to represent that she's covered by the powers and the anointings and the authorities that comes from Jehovah, which is Abba, Father, and from his son, Yahushua HaMashiach. Now, the moon that's under her feet represent our mother in heaven, which is wisdom. The crown that is made of the 12 stars, the crown symbolizes royalty of Adam, royalty of mankind. They are anointed and appointed by Yah. And that royalty, I want to start earthly first, is dealing with the children of Israel. Then you have the bride in 144 because they also will be given crowns and songs in their hand. Now, when you look at the children of Israel, they are war, royal because of what came upon their father Jacob, who was renamed Israel or Yashrael. For his name carried our father name, which is Yah. The El represent him being the supreme one of the most high of all gods, the El. And Saul represent power, power. So when we go to Genesis, I think it's chapter 32. Let me see here. Okay, I'm in the wrong book. Okay, now I'm in Genesis, chapter 32. For it says this in this verse, verse 28. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Yashrael, Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and has prevailed. So as you see, Jacob became royalty. That's why his name is Yashrael, and he is known as a prince that has power with God and with men. For he has prevailed against the angel that the Father sent to him. Okay? So, therefore, that same appointed and anointing will fall upon his lineage. And as I said before, the other component is the bride of the Messiah, which includes the 144,000 Israelites, for they too will be given a crown, and they have song palms in their hand. Now, the 12 stars that make up the crown represent the 12 tribes of Israel. For we know the 13th tribe is the tribe of the Levites, and they are given unto Yahuwah as their heritage. Okay. For they are not given land. All right. They are to minister unto our Father in heaven with those offerings. And these offerings will be done again in the eternal kingdom to come. Definitely read Ezekiel chapter 40 to 48. Okay. Now it goes on to say that the woman who bare the child, which we haven't got to yet, will flee into the wilderness, and that wilderness is known as paradise. Go back and see what the Messiah said, as well as what Enoch says, or what is paradise. And this place is prepared by Yahuwah himself. Okay. And they shall be there for 1,260 days, which is what? 3.5 years. The same time when the last anti-Messiah shall reign. So this woman is taken to paradise, which is also known as a wilderness, and this place is prepared by Yahuwah. So this is let us know they shall go to the wilderness that's in the heavens. And as you're going to read, that the woman that is in the earth, this is the other part of the woman. Okay. This is the second way loaf. Remember in Pentecost, because we're in the wheat harvest now, we have 2 way loaves of the wheat harvest, which are dedicated unto Yahuwah, and they shall be his first fruits. So the first way loaf is your bride and 144,000. They are the saints, the most holy. Your second way low is the house of Israel and the house of Judah, and they are the most high holy people. They represent the sanctuary of the temple. I'm giving y'all mysteries here. This is why it's so important to study Torah. Okay? So, the other component of the woman is in the earth, and she is persecuted by the dragon. Okay? Therefore, because of this persecution, she is given 2 wings of a great eagle. You want to look up eagle as far as looking at the fringes. Because the indigenous people, when they had their fringes from their arms and their legs, they look like a bird that's about to fly. Okay? So this woman is given two wings of a great eagle to fly into the wilderness, or known as what? The desert, or known as the what? Desolate, which is the Jerusalem of the Jebusites. This is the place where David conquered the Jebusites to claim Zion. Very important. Go back to your OT to understand of what I'm talking about, because there are two Jerusalems. Okay? And there, this woman is nourished in her place. Notice it's a change. It's in the earth and it's her place. And guess how long she's nourished for? For 3.5 years. And she too would not have to face the serpent. Remember, I told you about the interchangeable of the word. So we know that deals with what? The dragon, which is what? The son of perdition. For the son of perdition and Satan shall be working together. Okay, remember, he's going to copy the Father, the Son, and wisdom. Okay, he's going to perpetrate that he is the Messiah. Okay, so in that particular scripture, that woman represented the remnant of the house of Israel and of the house of Judah. Now, the remnant of her seed are the children of Israel, are the children of Israel, and the Gentiles in covenant with Yahusha HaMashiach, because remember, whoever comes in covenant, we become as a family. Okay? But for some reason, the remnant of her seed, which are the children of Israel and the Gentiles, who are in covenant with Yahusha and can give his testimony, for some reason, they did not make the cut. They did not make the wheat harvest. So therefore, they have to face the beast. And by facing the beast, by going through another trial and tribulation, it is to prune you and to edify you, to get you right, to make you a pleasing and acceptable in our Father's eyesight. So they got to be broken down more. And hopefully they would get it. But we all know the truth. There's always some who would cave in. Okay. Now, looking at the child that the woman birthed, we'll bring this up some. The child that the woman birthed is Yahushua HaMashiach. He is also known as the son of Adam. He is also called as the man child. And the Bible calls him the second Adam. When you look at the first Adam and him, made the same way, far as what form. But what we see here, what we see here, the second Adam came to correct the first Adam's mistake. For he was the only one that could fulfill Torah, okay, in order to set us free from Satan's dominion and to restore us and to redeem us, okay. The scriptures go on to say that he shall rule all nations with a rod of iron. So he's not playing, he's going to be very stern. Think about the characteristics of iron. We was talking about the Roman Empire. For their kingdom was described as iron too. So he is just as, no, he is more powerful than those angels and Satan. So they can't break him, nor can the sons and daughters of Adam. So he's going to enforce his father's eternal kingdom upon the earth. So he's given 1,000 years to get the earth in check. All right. He also represents the sheaf-weight offering of the barley harvest, which are what the first fruits. For his assignment was to set the captives free from Sheol, that's in the heart of the earth or center of the earth. So he had to go down there and preach from AV 14 to a V16. Okay. And once he did that, he was caught up unto Yah and to his throne, meaning that he would sit at the right hand of Yah. So when he completed that work, he went up to the heavens and he presented the offering, the sheaf weight offering, which was the saints. And he confirmed to the Father, the work has been completed, meaning that he had established a renewed covenant. And he sat at his Father's right hand until the next appointed time for him to come as King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and to take away the kingdom from Satan, Edom, and those who joined them. Then in Revelation 12, another sign appeared, and that sign was a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head. So again, we talked about what red represent. It represent Esau, Edom, Idumea, King Herod. Remember, in the Roman Empire, the Roman made Herod king of the Jews. Okay? And in his time of rulership, he was even trying to kill Yahusha when he was born. Okay? And we know also from online, from hearing different people testimonies, they even said that in the Jewish writings, they identify as Rome as Edom, letting us know that Edom is still ruling today. For he got everything by what? By the sword. It also let us know that the dragon again represents Satan, who also can be called what? Lucifer and the other names that I gave to y'all that's above. The 7 heads represent the kingdom of Satan, and the kingdom of Satan are made up of 7 kingdoms in the earth. I want y'all to meditate on this. When you look at the dragon, it is one body. They are one with Satan. They are covenant with Satan, right? One with him. So that whole body represent the kingdom of Satan. Remember how Satan got dominion. Remember, when he deceived our parents or allured our parents to eat of the tree of knowledge and good and evil, and they both knew not to eat it, but they did it anyway. They lost dominion of the earth, and it came to Satan. Okay? That's why Father's telling me why this divine story has to play out. That's why you have the 7-day prophecy, you have the 10-week prophecy, you have the 2-day prophecy pertaining to the Gentile. I can go on and on about the different things that he has shown me dealing with his timeline. Okay. So the 7 heads represent the kingdom of Satan. Notice how Satan copies the Father. Father, you see him with the divine number 7. 7 represents Sabbath, rest, worship. Sanctified, that means holy, set apart. But as you see, for Satan, he copied the number 7, but he perverts it. Okay? So Satan's kingdom is made up of 7 kingdoms or 7 heads in the earth. Now the 10 horns represent 10 kings, and 7 crowns represent that they have a kingdom. They are actually ruling over a people or a country or a city, and they are appointed rulers. Okay, who are they appointed by? Satan. Just like in the Father's kingdom, you have to be anointed and appointed by the Father through his Son and the Holy Spirit. Well, that's the same thing in Satan's kingdom. They had to be anointed by the darkness and appointed by Satan to be rulers. Okay, so the crowns let me know they actually have a kingdom they are presiding over. So 7 crowns means 7 kingdoms or 7 dominions, and they are appointed rulers. So when the dragon drew his tail, the scriptures let us know that he took a took the third part of the stars of heaven. Now, the stars of heaven represent the angels. And again, how Satan was able to do this, because when the Father created us on the sixth day of creation, which is 6,000 years, the angels was there witnessing it. And when they saw us being made in the image of our Father, we was not the same as the angel. They took offense to that because they saw us as on a smaller scale. Okay. They didn't take it as something being serious, because out of all the creations that the Father made, we was the only one to be made in his image. So there was some enviness there, and they felt like they was above us. So that's how Satan was able to allure them. So he took a third part of the angels. That's a lot. Okay. And they now recognize him as Lord, as their master, even though Satan did not create anything. Also in Revelation 12, it let us know that the dragon only have a short time to reign. So he only have 42 months, which also is 3.5 years. Do y'all see how all this is lining up? So this let us know that the 3.5 years is dedicated or allotted to the son of perdition, who is the anti-Messiah or antichrist. Now I'll give y'all the nugget of Revelations chapter 13. For homework, read Revelations chapter 13, but we about to go on the breakdown, and we're going to skip all these notes because this is the part I want to focus on. Here's the nugget. In Revelation chapter 13, it says there will be what? 7 heads. 7 heads. Okay? I will share with you where I got this information from, because I did ask the Father for some help, because everything that we're reading, I want biblical support. Biblical support. And the Father's reminding me there's another part I need to read unto you about Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes. So before I dive into this, let us go to Daniel chapter 8. This won't take long. And it will prove that it aligned up to Daniel chapter 7, verse 24. When we go to Daniel chapter 8, it says that Daniel vision of the ram and he goat, the 2300 days of sacrifice. Gabriel comforted Daniel and interpret the vision. So we know Gabriel is an angel that comes from the heaven and that was made by Yah. So this is how I have proof that the first king that was talking about in Daniel chapter 7, verse 24, that was Alexander the Great. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia. Hold on, y'all. Got my alarm. Oh, sorry about that. So it says here in verse 21, and the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Before Grecia was named Greece, back then it was Grecia. Okay. And as we see that the first horn that came between the eyes of the he goat, and it was a great horn, is identified as the first king. And that first king is Alexander the Great. The verse go on to say, now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. So we know the history of Alexander the Great. He died, and because he didn't have a proper heir to the throne, and I think someone killed his son too. I'm not for sure, but go check that history out. We know that his kingdom was divided into four kingdoms or four dynasties. Okay. And we know those four dynasties are pre Ptolemaic, Seleucid, which is the second, Pergamon, which is the third, and Didoshia, which is the fourth. Okay. And we talked about that in part one. So check out part one for the deeper details of that. So his kingdom was broken into four. Okay. So when it said not in his power, that means he did not decree or declare that to be. Because he didn't have, when he died, he didn't have any instructions for them to follow. Okay. Verse 23. And in the latter time of their kingdom, underline that. So in the latter time of their kingdom. So when you look at when he died, I know they say around what, 323 BC. Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes didn't come to 175. So some time passed in their kingdom. Okay. So this is how I know that what was identified unto you in Daniel chapter 7, verse 24 is correct. Okay. That's why I said I want everything to be biblical, correct. I want to have more than one witness. All right. So it says that in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. Now, y'all, this is describing Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes. And for those who have the 1611 Bible, verse 23, another way of saying when the transgressions are come to the full, you can say when the transgressions are accomplished. Okay. So write these characteristics down. He's going to be a king of fierce countenance. He's going to be a king of understanding dark sentences. And he's going to stand up. That means he's going to rise into great power. Okay. Now, verse 24. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. Very important, because when you read Revelations, it's going to tell you who is the power behind the beast. So the same thing for the beast is the same thing for Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes. Okay. His power is by Satan himself. Okay. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. Underline that. So we know the holy people are the children of Israel. And when they say mighty, those who are strong in strength and stature. Okay. So when you look at verse 24, let me see if anything there. Instead of saying holy people, you can say and the people of the holy ones. Again, that's pertaining to the children of Israel who was at Jerusalem. Okay. Verse 25. I'm reading from the King James 1611. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart. Definitely underline that. Because remember, we talked about what stout means? Okay. And by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. Definitely highlight that. The precept to that would be First Maccabees chapter 6, verse 9. But actually, we're going to go to Second Maccabees chapter 9, reading at verse 5, because you're going to see how this all align up to Daniel's prophecies and writings. So write these characteristics down. He's going to magnify himself in heart. So he's going to be prideful and boastful. Okay. He's going to speak great blasphemies against the Most High. He gonna try to seem like he comes in peace, but that's a trick or that's a deceitful characteristic. Instead, he going to what? Destroy many. So it says here, by peace shall destroy many, claiming to be peaceful, right? He shall also stand up against the prince or princes. Think about the holy people, okay? As far as their leaders, all right? But he shall be broken without hand. So meaning be broken without hand, he don't come to his end by the children of Israel, nor by any other man's hand. He come to his end by the Father's hand, and here's the proof. But we're going to finish closing reading this out first. Verse 26. And the vision of the evening and the morning, which was told, is true. Wherefore shut thou up the vision, for it shall be for many days. And that's correct. Because when Daniel received this, remember, Daniel was in the Babylonian captivity. Then he also came into the Persian Mede captivity. So many days going to pass, which is correct. Because the Greek captivity don't come till later on, which is 175 BC. Well, we're dealing with Antiochus fourth Epiphanes. I don't have the date for Alexander the Great, but like the words say, many days were passed. Verse 27, and I, Daniel, faint and was sick certain days. Afterwards, I rose up and did the king's business, and I was astonished at the vision, but none understood it. So we understand why at that time, why they didn't understand the vision. Because this was something in the future, but it would come later in the future, past their time. Okay. So now we're going to 2 Maccabees chapter 9. We're going to start reading at verse 5, because now you're going to see what Daniel is prophesying about. That's why I said I got to have Bible. I got to have biblical stuff. So I can line all these signs, whether they are in the heaven or in the earth. Also, I want to share with you that the sign of the anti-Messiah or antichrist was manifested in the heavens. I can't remember if it was December 2023 or somewhere in the 20s, early 20s. But when you had Saturn aligned with Jupiter, a lot of people was claiming that to be the East Star. That's not the East Star. The East Star is when you have the Regulus star aligned up with Jupiter. Okay. And Regulus star is the brightest star in the Leo constellation. All right. But Saturn is is something totally different. And remember, I told you that Saturn also represents Satan. So the Father gave us the sign in the heathen month known as December, or the Roman month known as December, okay, to let us know the last anti-Messiah shall soon be revealed. Okay. So this is taking us back to what? Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. These lights shall be a sign for us and shall be a sign for us. Okay. For those who are watching and paying attention. So in chapter 9, it says that Antiochus is chased from Persepolis. He is stricken with a sore disease and promised to become a Jew. He dieth miserably. So let's get the details of what went down. I do recommend that you read this whole chapter and also First Maccabees chapter 6 as well. So we're going to start with verse 5. But Yahuwah Almighty, the God of Israel, smote him with an incurable and invisible plague. For as soon as he had spoken these words, a pain of the bowels that was med bowels came upon him, and sore torments of the inner parts. So we already got proof what? Not by power of hand, but by what? Yahuwah Almighty did this to him. Our Father in heaven smote him with the incurable and invisible plague. Okay. Verse 6. And that most justly, for he had tormented other men's bowels with many strange torments. The Father has a brilliant way of punishing you. He looks at what wickedness you did in the earth, but he magnified it even worse. Verse 7. Howbeit he nothing at all ceased from his bragging, but still was filled with pride, breathing out fire in his rage against the Jews, and commanding to haste the journey. But it came to pass that he fell down from his chariot, carried violently, so that having a sore fall, all the members of his body was much pain. So even then, instead of repenting, he still remained in his prideful, boastful ways. You know what the scriptures say? Pride before demise, right? Before you fall. And notice here, he was going to take his rage out on the Jews. But then he fell terribly from his chariot that all his members of his body was in such pain. Verse 8. And thus he that a little aforethought he might command the waves of the sea. So proud was he beyond the condition of man, and weighed the high mountains in a balance, was now cast on the ground, and carried in an horse litter, showing forth unto all the manifest power of Yah. So now we're seeing that it was Yah who did it. They know Yah did it because of the signs that was upon this man's body. It showed us the power of Yahuwah. Very important. So now you are greatly seeing how he is broken without hand. But let us keep reading. Verse 9. So that the worms rose up out of the body of this wicked man, and whilst he lived in sorrow and pain, his flesh fell away, and the filthiness of his smell was noisome to all his army. Y'all, this man stunk so bad, it was loud. That's what Norson was talking about, loud. That stunk was so terrible. Oh my goodness, no one could be near him. And then his flesh start falling away. You ever seen people flesh pulling away from their bones of their body? And then he had the worms eating him up. Ooh, verse 10. And the man that thought a little aforth he could reach to the stars of heaven. Do y'all hear that? Now that's definitely sound what? Isaiah 14. Let me read this again. And the man that thought a little aforth he could reach to the stars of heaven, no man could endure to carry for his intolerable stink. Y'all, he stunk so bad. And notice where they place him, in a horse litter. Ooh. Verse 11. Here therefore, being plagued, he began to leave off his great pride, and to come to the knowledge of himself by the scourge of God, his pain increasing every moment. So now the great pride began to leave away for him because the Father's breaking him down. Verse 12. And when he himself could not abide his own smell, so Satan's spirits come off of him. That's what the Father letting me know. Again, go to 1 John chapter 2. It said the lust of the eye, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. That spirit of pride, y'all, is no joke. It will blind you and have you to exalt yourself mighty high. Okay? Verse 12. When he himself could not abide his own smell, he said these words, it is meet to be subject unto Yahuwah, and that a man that is mortal should not proudly think of himself as if he were God. That's right. That's right. Father, see how Father bring him so low and broken him. Now he's confessing the truth. Now he's saying who is the true living God. But let us keep going. This wicked person vowed also unto Yahuwah, who now no more would have mercy upon him, saying thus. So now we see that the Father has taken his mercy off of him. So this is an example unto us that don't think mercy and grace will always be upon our head. There is a time the Father will take mercy off of us. Verse 14, that the holy city to which he was going in haste to lay it even with the ground and to make it a common burial place, he was set at liberty. So now he's talking about Jerusalem, which is the holy city. In his evil heart, he thought to destroy it and lay it even with the ground and to make it a common burying place. That's what his evil heart was thinking about doing to the Father holy city. But because the Father has broken him down, he now has decided to set Jerusalem to set Jerusalem free for them to be at liberty. Verse 15, and as touching the Jews, whom he had judged not worthy so much as to be buried, but to be cast out with their children to be devoured of the fowls and wild beasts, he would make them all equal to be citizens of Athens. So when we look at verse 15, for example, Athens is also interchangeable with Antioch. So they would now be given citizenship as those who are in Athens, or another name for it is Antioch, meaning that they would have the freedom to worship Yah without being vexed and oppressed. Do y'all hear that? This is why it's so important for us to study this, because the same thing is about to happen again, but even worse, y'all. Now it's upon the whole earth. Okay. Verse 16. And the holy temple, which was before he has spoiled, he will garnish with goodly gifts, and restore all the holy vessels with many more, and out of his own revenue defray the charges belonging to the sacrifices. So this man even put charges on the sacrifices they were offering to the Most High. But now he's going to undo all that he had done unto them. Okay. Verse 17. Yea, that also he will become a Jew himself, and go through all the world that was inhabited, and declare the power of Yahuwah. Y'all, the Father brought him down so bad, he now would want to what? Become a Jew. So he won't become Jewish, which means to be converted. Okay? Keeping of the covenant. And he even said that he would go throughout the whole world and declare about the power of Yah. Verse 18, for all this, his pains would not cease. Because remember, the Father took mercy off of him. No matter what he said, his pains was not going to change, and they got worse. Let us keep going. For the just judgment of Yahuwah was come upon him. Do y'all hear that? So the Father is not dead. The Father is not ignoring things. The Father keeps a record of all. And there is an assigned judgment for those who do evil in his sight. This as we see for Antiochus the fourth Epiphanes. For the just judgment of Yahuwah was come upon him. Therefore, despairing of his health, he wrote unto the Jews the letter underwritten, containing the form of a supplication after this manner. Antiochus king and governor, to the good Jews, his citizens, wish much joy, health, and prosperity. That's what the Father was teaching me about politics and government. Wherever we are dispersed, we have a great influence on the heathens' governments. And now you see why it's so important to get citizenship, because when you study about some of these heathens and where my people was dispersed to, when they are given citizenship, it means for them that they was given liberty and freedom. Not only liberty and freedom, but the opportunity to worship Yah without being vexed and oppressed for keeping the covenant. Do y'all see this? So this is very important, because history going to repeat itself. If ye and your children fare well, and your affairs be to your contentment, I give very great thanks to Yahuwah, having my hope in heaven. As for me, I was weak, or else I would have remembered kindly your honor and goodwill. Returning out of Persia, and being taken with a grievous disease, I thought it necessary to care for the common safety of all, not disturbing my health, but having great hope to escape this sickness. So, fathers, let me know too, politics are important and it's a part of the Bible too. Okay? Because remember, children of Israel, we are now the tail and not the head. And the curses are upon us until that appointed time. For the prophet Zechariah says in chapter, let me find it. I'm in the book of Zechariah now. For it says in chapter 8, verse 13, and it shall come to pass that as ye were a curse among the heathen, O house of Judah and house of Israel, so will I save you, and ye shall be a blessing. Fear not, but let your hands be strong. Okay? So our time is coming when we will no longer be a cursed nation of people. Okay? See where we at. Mm, let me see where we at. I lost my own thing. Okay, I'm gonna read verse 22. Not distressing my health, but having great hope to escape this sickness, but considering that even my father, at what time he led an army into the high countries, appointed a successor to the end, that if anything fell out contrary to expectation, or if any tidings were brought that was grievous, they of the land, knowing to whom the state was left, might not be troubled. That is, we'll see what that side note is. Be in Second Maccabees, chapter 9. Almost there. Ooh, that was my cat, y'all. You okay, boo? Okay. Let's see. We're in 9, verse 24. Okay, what it's saying that the state was left. Another way of saying that to whom common affairs. To whom common affairs. Whew, that was me and my cat again, y'all. Uh, let's move him out the way. Okay, see where we at. So even his father, that's Antiochus the third, the great, didn't even do the things that Antiochus did. Antiochus the fourth. Mm. So verse 25, again considering how that the princes that are borderers, and neighbors unto my kingdom, wait for opportunities, and expect what shall be the event. I have appointed my son Antiochus king, whom I often commit and commend unto many of you, when I went up in the high provinces, to whom I have written as follows. So he's now setting up an heir to reign in his place that would keep what he wants, what he's bidding in this decree or declare. Therefore, I pray and request you to remember the benefits that I have done unto you generally, and in special, that every man will be still faithful to me and my son. For I am persuaded that he, understanding my mind, will favorably and graciously yield to your desires. Thus, the murderer and blasphemer, having suffered most grievingly, as he entreated other men, so died he a miserable death in a strange country in the mountains. Do y'all hear that? So he is a murderer and a blasphemer. Write those two characteristics down. Because Satan is the father of murderers. He was a murderer from beginning. Remember what Messiah said? For he convinced my uncle Cain to kill his brother Abel. Okay. And also Satan is a blasphemer. So his children do as he do. And when you read about the beasts have what? The names of blasphemies. Okay. So he died a painful, grievous death. And he was thinking too, y'all. And he died in a strange country in the mountain. And that was somewhere in Persia. Verse 29. And Philip that was brought up with him carried away his body, who also fearing the son of Antiochus went into Egypt to Ptolemais Philometor. So here are the side notes for 2nd Maccabees chapter 9. Take your time to pause the screen. Now we're going to go back to the notes and close this out. So here's the treat. When we come back in part 3, I will share with you my source where I got this information. And believe me, the prophet's going to back me up. For we already had some information about 4 of the heads. But I never thought about the other 2. Okay. And but actually, I never thought about this part. I was thinking about what the camps had and going back and rechecking what they had to see if what's correct with the scriptures. And when reading the scriptures, I was telling the father, I need some help with this because I feel like something is missing. And it was. So, as a bonus unto you for watching part 2, here is the head. The first head is Egypt, and that was when Moses saw the dragon in Pharaoh. The second head is Assyria. The third head is Babylon. Okay. Let me see. Can I scroll down a little bit? Trying to get there, y'all. Okay. The fourth head is the Persian Medes. But when we get to the fifth head, y'all, this is the Greeks, and that's when you see Hellenization. This is the time of the anti-Messiah, or also known as the Antichrist. And through the Greeks, we are getting the first anti-Messiah because the Greeks is a nation created by Edom, mixing himself with the son of Japheth. Okay, very important to know. Then the sixth head is Rome. And Rome is what? The wounded head. Okay. So when we get to the seventh head, I have an idea what this is, but I'm not going to reveal it in this video. We reveal it in the next video. But in the seventh head, we're going to have the son of perdition to come. And he's the last one. He's the anti-Messiah. Notice how Satan wanted to come as seventh to appear to be holy, appointed, and anointed. But he's the opposite. He's coming in darkness. Okay. He's anointed in darkness. So he's going to try to pass himself off as being the Son of God. But he's not. He is not Yahusha HaMashiach. So I do have an idea about the seventh head, and I will share it with you in part 3. So this has been enough in this video. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Okay. I'll also check out Wikipedia for Antiochus the Fourth Epiphanes to get a little more history on how he came to be in his position. Okay. So check that out. And continue, my brothers and sisters, to preach that the kingdom of heaven is coming, for it is coming, for the signs we can see in the heaven and earth, for the earth not the earth, but the heaven manifest the sign of the coming of the last anti-Messiah. Okay? Make sure our brothers and sisters receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10, and make sure they received the water baptism and the Holy Spirit baptism. And if you have no one to do the water baptism for you, you can baptize yourself. Here's where you exercise your faith with works. For the waters, the heaven, the earth can be a witness on your behalf, letting the Father know you have came into the renewed covenant that our blessed Messiah established for us. As for the Holy Spirit baptism, you can go to a righteous apostle to receive it, or you can ask in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, and my Father in heaven will give it unto you according to your heart, your faith, and your works. So be on the lookout for part 3. Love you all, and shalom.